wind look like?
Last episode, part 1, we left Vanuatu in a bit of a hurry. Cyclone Lola was bearing down on top of us. Rob was struck down by a virus we found out was COVID, and I had no option but to sail Jago completely on my own through the top end of New Caledonia, navigating through the reef for 2 nights and 3 days. So we're not too far off Australia. We're saying that we're 203 nautical miles off the Queensland coast, Moreton Bay, but there's also a low pressure system coming up the coastline, and it's going to hit us tomorrow, and so we're trying to outrun that now. So we weren't trying to outrun a cyclone, now we're trying to get into the bay before it gets really bad. And here's the thing, we're punching against a lot of tide. We've got up to 9 knots over water, but only 5.9 over ground. That's pretty bad. And we've got 2 sails up and the motor running. We've both been really sick, but we're coming out the other end of it now. We're feeling okay.
Luckily for us, we had such good weather.
I know.
In between, like for 6 days or 7 days, we just had like 15 to 20 knots on the
Flat
day.
water.
It was just beautiful. So
Yeah.
I was on my deathbed for about 3 of those days.
I know. And now
then you got sick.
I got it. Last night I was sick. Today I'm feeling okay. But we have to be okay to get into Moreton. It's going to be
We're going to be
terrible.
against over 5 metre swells and up to 40 knots of wind.
Right, we're coming into this storm. That one just hit the water. There's lightning. And we're going right through it. It's Friday morning, just going on 5 a.m. And we're going right into the wind. And I think we've still got current against us.
There's no wind really.
So of course the storm's just sucked it out. So last night we had a thunderstorm, lightning, and now we're coming into that system, and we've got rain, and I'm still sick.
I'm videoing you.
Sick.
We've both been sick on this passage. We think it's COVID, but we don't have any COVID tests on the boat. But holy shit, it's knocked us around a bit. Anyway, we've been at sea for a week, and we are now about 80 miles from Cape Moreton, the northern tip of Moreton Island, outside Brisbane. And the wind's coming in. We're going to windward. The seas are not huge yet, but they're getting up. We're trying to get a little bit further south than the rum line, because we're expecting 35 gusting to 40 knots this evening, and I don't want to be trying to smash into 5 metre seas and 40 knots at night, so I'm taking a bit of south while I can, so we can bear away when it gets really windy. No doubt, at the minute we've got our full Genoa and full main up, tearing along to windward here, but when it gets to 35 knots, we'll be in 2 or 3 reefs probably, and you won't be able to really point very high when that's going on. So, here we are. Pardon? Yeah, we are doing 8 to 9 knots. And D still doesn't look. Oh! Some of these waves are quite big when you fall off the back of them. Yeah. Yeah.
We're currently out here, and we're trying to push more south. So we're trying to head down towards the top end of Moreton and just go around into the top end and end up in here, yellow patch. There is Flinders Reef here, and that gives us options then. If we can't and we get blown further north, we can always come in the top end of Flinders. Not ideal because there's a lot of reef. Or we can keep going north and end up at Fraser. Or we just run with the storm. So it does gives us options if we can get as far south. It is hard going because we've got waves on our beam and the waves and wind are pushing us further north. So we're just going to keep on pushing down low. Our passage plan took us this way, which we chose to ignore because it just didn't make sense to us. It gives you no options. Once you end up here, it's far too hard to try to push down into that wind and motor against those waves. It's just impossible.
Well, that front's hitting now. Raining, windy. Haven't got much Genoa out. Main's reefed. No mizzen. We're still doing about 8 knots.
We hit this low pressure system around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's now about 4 o'clock and it is building. How much wind do we got? 30? And we've got everything. We've only got a little bit of mizzen out and a little bit of Genoa out. And we're doing 8.2.
About 4 metres seconds, that gets bigger.
Yeah. 41. Oh, that's what 41 knots the wind looks like. Woo! The wind is building now and we have over 40 knots of wind now and over 7 metre waves. They are starting to crash over the boat into the cockpit and you can hear the pressure on the boat in the background. We've got this until midnight. We've got this until midnight, have we? Trying to get some footage from the port side, which is the high side, but I can't get up on the port side. The boat is heeling over so much. I just literally can't stay up on the port side to film. The wind now is over 40 knots of wind and it's not night time yet and we're going to be in this for till about 2 in the morning.
There you go there. You what?
You can hear the nervous laugh, but we're just trying to keep it very light and not getting too stressed. But inside we are Yep, that went everywhere. And we're still. We now have over 50 knots of wind and the waves are building and breaking over us. It's getting pretty hectic, and it's getting close to dark now as well. The wind is so strong outside. When I put my camera out to film, it feels like the wind's pulling it out of my hands. I feel like we're really powered up. We're doing 9 knots of speed, but we've only got a little bit of genoa up and a little bit of the mizzen up, and we're flying along. The waves are huge and the wind is now over 50 knots. Our solar panels come down. I feel like Jago's settling into this rhythm now. It's feeling a little bit better and I'm feeling a little bit more settled. The waves are still massive and they're building, but in a strange way the ocean's very beautiful with this beautiful pale blue and whitewash. Very pretty. We have the waves coming onto our port side beam on, and she's just rolling over the top of these breaking waves. Quite incredible. And you just got to hold on. We have drifted slightly north because of the wind and current. So we've turned the engine on and we're going to try to get in a little bit quicker, because the longer we're out here, the further north we're drifting away from our target. And there's 2 other boats out here and they've ended up drifting north. Yeah, they get blown up to Cairns. They're in the channel to go in through into Moreton Bay, but they doing 3 knots backwards, and I think they've heaped to, and I think one of them's got a storm sail out, but they're actually in a bit of strife, and they're up around the ships, container ships that are up there. So that's why we decided to start the engine and get the hell out of here. Yeah, we'll end up with them. So that's our plan. We were doing really well, and then all of a sudden we just got blown off course. It's still really windy out here, but not as windy as it is in there. Apparently they were saying it has died down quite a bit, but still really big swells. Coming a little bit higher than what we wanted, so we're going to go up and around Flinders Reef, which we're fairly familiar with. We've dived on this reef before. So we came through there, we came in through here, and this is the top end of Moreton. So it's the northern side of Moreton Island, and Yellow Patch is just in here, which is an anchorage. But because we are sailing into Australia from overseas, it means that you've really got to keep going. You can't just stop wherever you want to stop, have a swim, do whatever you want to do. You've got to go into Port Brisbane and clear in first, so that's on Monday. And we've been so sick, we just stopped for a couple of hours here and got some sleep, and it's early in the morning and we're off again. So we arrived here at 2 a.m. And the boat held up really well, no issues, no problems. Yeah, she's just a tank. That's what they're designed to do. They're blue water sailing boats. That's her job. Amel's are actually got a nickname called the Tank of the Sea. It's pretty true. Pretty awesome. She just rolls over those waves.
What about, we had one breakage.
Oh yeah? Oh, that was because of me. We broke a little clip.
That was a whole breakage.
I got the clear caught in the winch and it ripped off the little...
That was their entire breakage list for 40 knots.
Yeah.
5 metre seas for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, so we're really proud of our boat and we did really well. Well, that wasn't entirely true, Rob. We did break the little brace on the solar panel.
What?
And I did suggest time down.
Yeah, and as usual, you were right.
That's right. We both did something wrong. At least one thing each. Anyway, lucky we didn't lose that solar panel. That's all I was worried about. Okay, so people have asked us why we chose not to go to Bundaberg. And I think it's because you were deliriously sick. And I was a bit nervous when Rob said, no, we're going to go straight ahead into Brisbane. Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, I don't reckon I was thinking straight. Definitely.
I was sick.
Yeah, then you were sick. I was recovering, but neither of us were in a really good state of mind. We got way over 40 knots. It was over 50 knots and like 6 metre seas with 8-second intervals, which is massive. It may well have got to 60 knots, but we had a lot of other stuff on. We had hardly any sail out, but we knew that if we were going to try and get into Moreton Bay, we had to keep banking a lot of south, because as we got closer to the coast, you can't beat into that sort of stuff. You either have to stop and heave to, or you bear away and then go to Bundaberg. And while the boat was managing it, I thought, well, God, we're nearly there. It wasn't much fun, but the boat was handling it really well. Even waves breaking over the whole boat. She just hung in there. Like we never really felt unsafe, did we?
No, because we knew the boat was capable of this. So we just I didn't know what 7 metre waves look like. So I do now. Would I want to do it again? No. Would I go to Bundaberg? Yes. Yeah. But back when it was happening, it was, I think we were both sick and we just wanted to get home. That was a big part of it. But we trust our boat, and I trust you. I know.
That was your first mistake.
I know. And Rob's a very good skipper, and we had practiced our heaving too, and we talked about what would happen if that didn't work. What was our backup plan? Would we run with the storm? Would we try to heave to? How would we hide behind Fraser? That was another option. A mate got back to us and said, what about Fraser? Yeah. So there was a lot of things going on, but once the boat settled into a bit of a rhythm, as crazy that sounds, it got darker and we couldn't see anything, which kind of settles you a little bit when you can't see those massive waves rolling over. But
yeah, because they were breaking.
They were breaking waves constantly, and I don't think any videos really shows the size of these waves. It's hard to capture. But it's giving you some idea. Some of those video footage did come out quite well. What
saved us though is the planning for the leeway. So we banked a lot of south. We didn't stay on the rum line. Two other boats did, and they ended up getting blown hundreds of miles north. They didn't make it into the bay.
So we heard a pan call come over the radio, not a mayday, but a pan-pan, which meant the boat was in trouble. And we had actually fallen asleep for like about 10 minutes because we were both sick, wet and cold
In the
and
cockpit,
tired with COVID still, in the corner of the cockpit, like cuddled up, trying to stay warm, and fell asleep. And that's a part you don't see on the video. And then we woke up to this pan-pan call that a boat was drifting 3.5.
He was hove to with a sea anchor out and a storm sail, and he was still going north at 3.5 knots.
Yeah.
They just locked themselves inside because the waves were crashing over their boat. It was a fair bit smaller boat than ours.
So they ended up past Mooloolaba. The other boat ended up past Mooloolaba and were the only boat to actually make it into Moreton Bay that night. We caught up with one of them when we cleared in. They arrived, and they said that they were
exhausted. They were exhausted. Yeah, their autopilot packed it in.
Yeah. Really
open cockpit. He says, I was steering outside. I said, you were steering outside in that? And he goes, for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He says, I couldn't see anything, and he was nearly getting washed off the boat. So he just
went below.
They just hove to and came down below and closed the cabin up and stayed inside. And the Moreton Island, it was pitch black and blowing the dog off the chain and really rough, and we were trying to go in between Cape Moreton and Flinders Reef. And it became apparent as we got closer that we were going to be way too close to Flinders Reef, which was going to be on our lee side, and that would have been a crazy risk to take. Because if something broke or something happened, you would be on the reef in like 5 minutes, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, we've dived around that reef, so we were quite familiar with the reef and the depths around that reef. And you've grown up in Moreton Bay all your life. So
the safest option would have been to go north of Hutchison Shoal, but then that's another couple of miles further north, and we thought we won't be able to beat against this weather. It was too hard. Because
those other two boats ran out of fuel.
Yeah, they were trying to motor sail.
The next day they go out
the VMO guys had to go out and
give them fuel.
Yeah.
The two boats, and they were stuck out there. So we were exhausted, and we just pulled in close, dropped the anchor, went to bed,
turned everything off, and just went to sleep.
Border Force were ringing us constantly. I woke up with all these messages on my phone. They completely understood, and
they were cool about it.
They were too busy looking after the other two boats that went north. So anyway, we survived, and it was good. We did well, and we know what we're capable of and what Jago's capable of. And do I want to do it again? No. We have a friend that is a pilot, and her friend was flying a plane over the top of Moreton Bay that afternoon over the ocean.
Over the ocean, yeah.
And she said, "Oh wow, my friends are out there on their boat coming in from Vanuatu. What does it look like?" And he said, "It's just all whitewash." And she's like, "Oh my God."
He couldn't believe that
we were
actually out there in that.
He said, "It's just whitewash out there.
Just white. Everything was a white out."
Anyway, we made it. Hope you enjoy. Next episode, we try to make it into Brisbane Port, but Rob's COVID comes back and he relapses. It's cost us a fortune. Rob and I have a bit of a rant about biosecurity and the fees and charges. Turns out, Australia is one of the most expensive places to clear into.